Welcome to my morning coffee. Always bold, hot, and full of flavor. Gia and Tonya are my morning coffee. What's in your cup?
Your groove seems a little meek today. What's going on with you?
I'm in pain. I'm not feeling too well. I got this pain in my neck and shoulder. Let me have a little sip. I got coffee in my cup.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of My Morning Coffee, where the conversation is always hot, bold, and full of flavor. Pretty organic too. Today, we get to have an amazing conversation with a pretty dope fraternity brother of ours who's doing some really cool things out in these streets. But before we get into that, what's going on with you? You hurting? You got coffee?
Yeah, I got coffee.
You know that caffeine enhances pain. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that until you just told me today. So, okay. Well, I guess I'm going to, be in pain then because, I'm having my coffee because, I'm tired because I'm not sleeping that well with the at night because of the shoulder pain. So, the thing I've been putting off for years, I think I'm going to probably have to just fall on the sword, as they say, and go on and probably have the surgery that I need to have. And hopefully that will alleviate the pain or the problem that's going on with my spine and that's affecting my neck and my shoulder. So yeah, so that's what I have in my cup of coffee. I haven't really been up to too much because I've been trying to deal with this pain, but I have been as we said on Monday, my collection, Empower You collection with Shein dropped on Monday. So I've been, I'm still pinching myself about that, and I've been trying to do my due diligence and get my stuff out there on social media, posting. And as you know, Tonya, Sonya must be talking about me. As you know, I'm not that good with social media. I try, but I'm not, I'm not a guru and stuff. So I've been trying to, share my the photos, the pictures of the t-shirt line, and get people to go there and buy it, because you have to get it from their website. It's not on my website, so it's exclusively on the Shein website. So and I would like for the collection to sell out. That would really be cool if I could sell the collection out. And that would be major for for me and for other entrepreneurs and designers that are coming up that are able to work with a big brand to be able to do something like that. So it does mean a lot to me. So all my people out there that y'all watching, listening on my page, I put the link there. Go to the link, click on the link, and buy it. Right now the sizes are only small through large. And there's nothing I could do about that. They only let you pick one category when you do a collection. And I had to think broadly, because the shirt is for, I want it to be for everybody and stuff. So, but hey, if we sell out, maybe I can go back in and ask and get a collection for plus sizes. But, if it's not your size, you can always gift it to someone. People, you got friends, you got kids, all y'all got kids. All my friends got kids now. So y'all could buy for them birthday presents, graduation presents, just because you a good girlfriend type of present, anything, stuff. But buy it. Let's blow it up. Let me be like all these other designers coming up. What's the name? The bag guy that everybody's buying his bags.
Yeah.
Yeah. So y'all go on and buy Empower You, okay, and be empowered, because I made it in line, with the thought of women, us being empowered and empowering ourselves, because lately, but even before lately, people sometimes they get down on us. So and I'm always about empowering others. I want everybody to be empowered and be your best self. So if I can do anything to help, then somebody said something about some cannabis and yoga. You know what? Is it Laura? Right now, I can't, because I still employed. I'm employed, and my employment says that I can't be, cannabis is off for my employment. So thank you for the suggestion. And maybe once retirement hits officially, I can dabble in the cannabis thing. But yeah, y'all don't try to get me caught up now, because I was like, oh, okay, no, but no, I can't do that.
You can do the yoga though. You
I
can
do the yoga,
a
yeah,
hot yoga, even.
yeah.
So thank you for that, Miss Laura. We're
yeah.
gonna get her in the studio and start working on some of that pain.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been up to. So again, it's called Empower You. It's at Shein.com, but I have the link on my page. I think it's on my morning coffee page, but it's everywhere on my social media. So if y'all see it in your timeline, click on it and check it out.
Absolutely.
So what have you been up to, Tonya?
Well, let's see. We've had a lot going on. Roman and Ray came back from Arizona, where the rock stars came in, I think, second. They did well.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, so they came back. Royce has been sick, so we have been at Kaiser, spending a lot of time there.
Okay.
I have been working on the launch of the leadership and public relations coaching program for Sand and Shore. So that's coming in April.
All right.
Look out for that. And working on some stuff for you, because I think this collection is amazing. I think we have an opportunity to really show the power of the dollar in Black women and women all over the world, because the line is super cute. It's ready for summer, spring, and there's no reason that we shouldn't blow it up. So continue to be on the lookout. Make sure you follow Gia, you follow My Morning Coffee. And we have some cool things coming up. Also, we have the brunch coming up. So brunch with brands.
Yes.
So stay posted, because we have the opportunity to work with some really cool brands for ladies to get together, network, and have some real fresh stuff going on. But that's really it. So I have coffee in my cup because I've been tired. A lot of stuff going on. This weather got people sick, and been nursemaiding in the house a lot. So we're just catching up since our last show. But I do want to go ahead and bring on our guest, because he's been doing some dope stuff.
Yes.
He's our brother. He is running the Black Alumni Association at Cal State Northridge. He mentors youth, foster youth. And, it really is important that we acknowledge the work that the people in our community are doing to make things better and leave things better than we got them. Also, it's been fun to see him grow in his leadership since he became a member of Phi Beta Sigma, and what he is doing now and how he is setting the bar high and really paving a path for others to follow, because sometimes people just don't know what to do next. Like, I want to help. I want to make things better. How do you do them? So today we're going to bring him on, Dr. Carroll Brown. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello there. Thank you guys.
Good morning.
So let us know what's in your cup and how have you been?
It's crazy. I don't even have a cup. I got a can. So what's in my can? And no, I'm not being sponsored by them, so I should block out the name. But it's a little energy drink. Celsius Live Fit. Just because I got a lot of things going on, and so they say a master of many traits type of quote. I think it's more so I don't do coffee, so I can't do coffee. Traumatized from when I was younger, but the energy drink definitely helps keep me going, keeps me focused, keeps me energized for as I tackle on the day.
I'm sorry, traumatized. You got to go into that.
So how your parents tell you don't touch something, it's too hot, or don't do this, don't do that. Mm-hmm. So me being younger and the inquisitive young man as I was, I had to learn from life experiences. It's so don't touch the stove, it's too hot. I learned the hard way.
You burned yourself.
Don't touch this coffee, right? Or don't touch my drink.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking away. I'm like, oh, this looks like hot chocolate. I love hot chocolate. I take it down to the head without blowing it. Don't know any kind of techniques. Burn the whole inside of my mouth. Boy, I was upset. My dad comes into the kitchen because I was raised by my father. My dad comes into the kitchen, sees me sitting there with some of his coffee on the floor, and he said, "Told you not to touch my shit." And then for like a whole week and a half, my whole inside of my mouth, I couldn't taste anything. I was upset. Upset.
Wow. You know, Carroll, it's funny. No, it's not funny. You know, I've known you for a long time, for a while, you know, stuff. And you kind of like a little brother to me. I look at you as a little brother, you know, and stuff. But you know how you say you know people, but you don't really know people. You kind of know of them or know them and stuff. But reading, you know, some of your bio, some of the stuff that, you know, you've been into or you're doing, you do a lot. You've done a lot and you're doing a lot. But I want to get into it because we talk about a lot of things. We talk about parenting. We talk about, you know, single mothers, and something we haven't talked about a lot is single fathers. And I see that you were raised by your father. So I want you to talk a little bit about that, because most of us that are raised by single parents, we've been raised by our mamas. So here it is. We got a guy, a young, you know, young man, because you're still young compared to me, young man that was raised by his father. Can you get into a little bit of that, what that was like growing up, being, you know, how does, because to me, that's kind of unheard of. Back in my day, it was always your mama, you know, you with your mama. So here it is, you know, it's you and your dad, and your dad doing this. So can we talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, we're gonna tackle this whole I'm younger thing, because y'all know y'all both in the same age bracket as me. Y'all know it don't crack. And look at y'all. So
you're like 12. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Y'all like 15. So stop playing. I've seen your pictures and seen y'all. Y'all go out more than me. So stop it. Every time I look, G is out. Her and Jeff out there doing it up.
100%.
Me and my wife sit here looking like, yo, I think we in bed at 10 and they still out. So
she'll be in the streets.
Yeah.
I don't know why she be trying to act like
her and Jeff be in the streets. Have you seen the pictures modeling together? I'm like, who are these people?
Stop.
So nonetheless, yes, I was raised by my dad, single parent household. He raised two young boys. Me and my brother are a year and a half apart. Actually, yesterday was his birthday. Happy birthday, KB. And we were raised in South Central on Crenshaw and Manchester by my father in the 90s and early 2000s, where a lot of peers, you know, turned to gangs and drugs. But growing up, I was more afraid of him than the streets. He definitely ruled with an iron fist. But as I got older, I realized it was for a purpose, right? It kept me out of trouble. And he's a Southern. Part of my family is Creole on my dad's side of the family. And so he's from New Orleans and came down here and had a whole, you know, raised me with the Southern lifestyle in the city. And yeah, it was just, you know, my mother passed away in 96. She had breast and lung cancer. And so, but before she passed away, he still had full custody. And like you said, you don't hear about this a lot because the media portrays it as men are not involved in their household. Men are absentee fathers and things like that. But a lot of the brothers that I take that mentor me are married. They have their education, father figures, and things like that. So it was just, you know, there's another side to the story that they don't show. And my father was part of that story.
Okay. And talk to me a little bit about your mom too. What did it feel like growing up not in the household with your mom? And it's probably one of those things where you can't miss what you never had. But do you ever, as a young person, did you ever imagine it or wonder what that would be like, or have any type of abandonment issues because she wasn't the primary caretaker? And you probably grew up knowing people that had grown up with their mom. Like, talk about that.
So my mother passed away when I was 8 and I was turning 9. So it wasn't much to say like, oh man, I miss yeah, there was times, Mother's Day happened, but my dad would always say, "Yeah, I'm your father and your mother," and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna give him a Mother's Day card." But I was also blessed with a grandmother, with several grandmothers. I had my grandmother on both sides. I had my great grandmother as well on my mother's side who was there, aunties, and then I like to look at it as although God has taken my mother figure from me, he also blessed me with several other mother figures in my life. So women who came into my life and who became mother figures or big sisters, women mentors, people that can, pour into me, that one area. And it's great because although I was missing from one, I got from several different others, right? I got from several different other perspectives. And to this day, I still get, women who are older than me who still pour into me and, have that son-like, relationship that I have with them. Even women that I may meet, I met a lady, Dorothy Patterson. She's in Dallas, Texas. We did a panel event for NFL week in downtown LA on mental health. And she was talking about how her son was killed by the police and different things like that. And so I went up to her and talked to her. And, I just gave her a big hug and said, I know your son's not here. And I know it happened years ago. However, you're still loved and we still love you and you're still needed. And I said, I would love to keep in touch and things like that, check in with you. And so she now has magically become like a mother figure. She'll call me up and we have a long conversations and different things. I definitely feel like I've been blessed.
Yeah, I will say, Carroll, your father, I want to thank him because he did really well raising you. Because one thing I admire about you, I've always liked about you, you're very personable and you are very loving. You take people in, you let people know you care about them. And I got a chance to really watch you doing you guys regional conferences when you were in charge of the Miss Phi Beta Sigma pageant. So I got to see you really interact and I liked you and loved you before, but then that's when I say I took you. I was like, you're my little brother because you would, the way you take to people and way you embrace people is, and that says a lot because a lot of people are not like that, and you do that seamlessly to me, and I love that about you. So don't change that, okay?
Absolutely. As The Rock said it best, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. And I love that. I love that quote. And I just try to emulate and mirror what I want in relationships with people because there's so much chaos going on in the world, and especially, and it's funny you mentioned those pageants and doing all that because I like to say I stand on the shoulders of giants. Those before me, and Jeff was definitely one of those people when I was coming up to really pour into me. I like to say that him and his board at that time was like the 96 Bulls. Just running the show and got to watch and soak up a lot of that leadership and just sit in those boardrooms like, what is going on here? They are really going at it and like on some parliamentary type stuff. So it was great.
Yeah. Look, Carroll, I do the same thing in my house. I'll be sitting there, be like, with him. So I understand. I understand.
Part of leadership is learning to process information, right? It's not being, having knee-jerk reactions. It's really understanding how to intake and process information to let it direct your next steps or how you kind of think about things, and just being open-minded and analytical. What have you learned? First, talk about why you decided to pledge Phi Beta Sigma, and then what have you learned as you have grown in your leadership in the organization?
So I'm gonna go backwards first. So when you mention about processing, what I've learned in regards to my leadership is that my processing is very important. I'm really good at managing and delegating and observing and assessing a situation to figure out really quick. And I got that from pledging too. So you have to learn on the spot, like really come up with ideas and things like that. Although I'm part of a non-hazing organization. And so in my younger years, I had to learn through some life's trials and tribulations on how to, really process. Although, me and my wife have a running joke. I'm more of a, because I do have to process, I'm more of a dial up and she's a Wi-Fi connection. And so it takes me longer to really process what's going on. And I'm, going over different things, aspects, and different processes of how to accomplish certain things before I'm quick to make a move on certain things. And so, my process is more of a dollop, but it definitely works.
I'm not laughing at you because you and your wife, that's me and Tonya. I'm more of a dial up and Tanya's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, my wife.
Yeah.
She'll ask me something and be like, "Let's go." I'm like, "Hold on, wait a minute. I need you to pause for a second. Let me process."
I'm the dial up on that old rotary phone. Where's the 5? Okay, and then
oh man, like the old internet connection. That's me. And then you gotta wait for it to get the connection. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
And then Ray is a 5G, and I'm like a 3G. Like it'll come in, but he shouldn't be like on point. Now you're like, I can't with you right now.
Yeah. So yeah.
See, people don't know I may drop back for a minute and then come back with like tons of solutions.
Right.
But they don't know that process of that drop back was it was
disconnect, that real quick disconnect.
Yeah, and sometimes I may have to unplug. You got to unplug your internet just to you got to restart
Soft reset.
Yeah, I got to reset it and then get back to going. So I definitely go through a process with that. But I learned that because of that, I understand other people's learning styles, right? And how to communicate to others differently because I'm in that processing. I'm processing. Okay, I know because I pay attention to people. And so I know this person and this person. So now I have to process how I'm going to give them the information so that both can understand it at their own learning style. So those are some of the things that I process. And again, I learned a lot of that from like a lot of my pro fights, like people like Jeff and the other ones, all my other pro fights at Northridge. And and to answer your other question, why Phi Beta Sigma? It was interesting because a lot of the older brothers at Northridge were all from South LA, right? And so getting to know them, like, you lived in Compton? Oh, you went to Dorsey? You went to Horace Mann? You went to Fauché? It was like, oh, all y'all grew up in the same area as me. It was crazy to be around like-minded individuals who grew up in the same neighborhoods, literally some of them around the corner from me, experienced a lot of the same situations and seeing a lot of the same, social dynamics that we all had to go through. And, to come into an organization where my father, although he got me to a certain point in life, to college, he didn't go to college. And so I had to, on my own, figure it out. And so I had to find men that I could latch onto. And I'm really big on the power of mentorship. And a lot of the brothers really took me under their wing, and really helped me become the man that I am. And it's crazy because a good chunk of the brothers who, I really latched onto and helped mold me into the man I am have, like I said, our fathers, are directors. Several of them have doctorate degrees, have businesses, and are just really out there doing it. And like I said, the media doesn't show that, and so to have that example lets me know that I can do this too. And they're also married too, been married for years. Some of them been married for almost 20 years and things like that. And so it's like, okay, I didn't grow up in a single parent household. I didn't have example of a positive Black, relationships. And so now I can see that. And so I know it can work.
So we want to get all in your business, and we want you to tell us about, because you're doing a lot of great things. But before we get into that, I want to talk about, because it looks like throughout your college career you had a little setback. Okay, I want you to talk about the setback, but also I want you to talk about during that setback. I see that you had some entrepreneurial skills, and you put them into motion to help in overcoming your setback. So let's talk about that, and then we're going to get into all the other great things that you're doing in the community.
And Dr. Brown.
Yes.
This is unfiltered.
Okay. Let's do it then. We're going to take a sip of what's in my cup. So, setbacks. So, like Gia mentioned, going through the conferences and things like that, no one knew during that time that I was struggling in school. I actually got kicked out in 2009. I got DQ. I got my second DQ was in 2009, and that is where they kick you out. And so at that point, I realized, they're not playing. So, and what happened was, I got into college in 2005, right after a car accident. I was in a major car accident over the summer. Literally the day after my birthday, I was in a major car accident in 2005. Rushed to the UCLA hospital, and I was unconscious for like a day or two, and then almost had to have immediate surgery. I was almost killed. And so then I came into college in August, literally right after, while I'm still rehabbing, and saw myself trying to be a walk-on onto the track team. I was a shot putter from high school. And so I realized, okay, this ain't gonna work, because I saw some of the girls were bigger than me. And I was like, oh no, this ain't gonna work. I was like, you know what? It's gotta be something else for me to do. And so, like I said, growing up in a single parent household, having to abide by my father's rules, there was no wiggle room. It was all structure. There was no get up at 4 a.m., go with him to work, catch the bus to high school, and things like that. So when I got to college, got my own dorm room, and it was all freedom. Then I joined the fraternity. Then I learned, you can miss class and they don't call home. Oh, this is great. Right. And so I was wilding out, and I was partying. I was the person in the quad, and a lot of alumni know I was the person in the quad, hanging out with his letters and his frat brothers, and not going to class. But I would tell people, I just got out of class. But I'd be the first person on carpooling to San Diego or San Bernardino, Santa Barbara for the first party that's going down up there, or the first Greek event. I'm out there on stage, going to community services. I'm putting on the front on this end, handling business, going to conferences and traveling and stuff. But on the other end, educationally, I wasn't going to school. I was like, I'll catch up later. And so then I got that notice saying, you got kicked out. And so then when I went to a counselor, I was undecided major too at that time. And mind you, I had been undecided major for about 3.5 years. Didn't know what I wanted to do, right? But I pledged as a freshman. And so, which is uncommon because we don't normally pledge freshmen because you need some credits. But coming into college, I was heavily involved. I was vice president of BSU. Like, I was really socially engaged on campus. And a lot of my maturation happened at CSUN, which is probably why it took me almost 9 years just to finish undergrad. And so a counselor told me, you know what, maybe this isn't for people like you. This isn't for people like you. And so during that time period, I forgot to mention, my father, when I went back home after I crossed the fraternity, I crossed into the organization, I went home thinking that, I don't need to abide by rules. I changed, but my dad didn't. And so he was like, oh, no, you're going to have rules. And so I was like, well, I don't need to be here. I'm thinking I got frat brothers in the valley. I'm going to go crash at their house. So I was house hopping. Fobs kicked me. I was house hopping. There was times where I slept in my car on campus in the parking structure underneath the street light. And then I would just show up at some of my line brothers' houses. Hey, I'm coming to kick it. Or I'd be walking into pro fights houses and like, hey, I'm coming in. And what's in the fridge? What we got to eat? You know what I'm saying? Like, but people let me in because I had that ability to just be, you know, very warming and things like that. And so one of my older frat brothers, Dr. Walker, right? He referred me to a job. He was like, dude, you need a job. And I was like, yeah, you're right, man, because I lost my job messing with y'all where I was working on campus, and I ended up getting fired as a freshman from Jamba Juice. And so he referred me to a job at a boys' home with juvenile youth and called Rancho San Antonio, located in Chatsworth. It came with a room, it came with benefits, came with a check every other week, and I was good. I thought I was made in the shade. And so after 3 years, and then I got kicked out of school during that time period, and I realized I'm helping these kids change their lives, but I'm not doing the same. We're literally being like a walking contradiction. So at that point, I was like, I got to get it together. And a mantra that I kept telling myself is that if my mother can survive as long as she did with breast and lung cancer, then I can make it through this too. And so I buckled down, and I ended up having to scrounge up the money. I had to reapply to CSUN, but show them that I was doing the work. So I had to pay for classes out of pocket. I was working like triple shifts at work, trying to hustle up. But I realized, you know what? I live here, so I'll be okay. I could just go to bed real quick and take a nap and come back in and just really grind it out. I was collecting I would go to Balboa Park where they played footballs on the weekends. I'd be out there with a shirt, put on a hat and a bag, and I'm collecting cans, right? Almost got into it with somebody because they're like, I'm walking on their turf. I was selling water.
Tripping over recycling.
Yeah, it was really about it too. And I was like, yo, it's a real life thing out there. And so, and then I would sell water. I would do everything. I was writing letters to different frat brothers, trying to throw parties. I was writing letters to people trying to, see if people can donate. Got back into school finally in 2011. But mind you, I was still on campus when I got kicked out, and still playing the front of, I'm still a college student. I'm still doing my thing. And, but no one knew I got kicked out, that I wasn't enrolled in classes. I just was there with a backpack and my letters on, still doing the work of the frat. And because in my mind, it was community work. Right. And so I'm now thinking like, I'm still helping the community. I'm still going to help the community. I fucked up, but I'm going to still do what I got to do. This is what I signed up for. And so when I finally got it together, I got back into school in 2011, and then I graduated in 2013 with my degree in Pan-African Studies. And it's crazy because the PAS department really helped me. They took me in. They were like, yo, I sat with the counselor. He was like, and dude, behind closed doors, is like, man, you really fucked up. I said, yeah, man, I got some work to do. He's like, yeah, he's like, all right, it's gonna be some work, but we're gonna get you back in. We're gonna get you in. We're gonna welcome you in. And since then, it's been like a family with them.
Real quick, thank God for the Pan-African Studies Department and the counselors, because for them to tell you that, I'm sure you took it in a good way, as opposed to if you would have had a different counselor that didn't look like you saying, absolutely, oh, you really fucked up. That could have messed with your self-esteem. But having absolutely somebody look like you tell you that, you knew that really they had your back. They wasn't belittling you.
Representation matters, right? Yes. And also, I had to humble myself because I realized, I was like, yo, you did fuck up. And so someone calling you on your shit, you needed that. And you needed that level of vulnerability, but I felt like it was a safe space, right? It was Dr. Cedric Hackett, and he created a safe space for me. And to this day, like, we still keep in touch, and everything. And so he was like, really took a hold of me and was like, I am my brother's keeper. We're going to get you back into school. And the whole PAS department, all the professors at that time, rest in peace to those that have passed away, but they all like really helped out in my maturation and my growth.
Listen, Professor Scott and Professor Dennis were like the fathers and uncles that I always wish I had. Yeah. And I mean, there is nothing more impactful than a Black man in a girl's life who didn't have a father, giving her all the knowledge, giving her all of the truth that no one has ever shared. Partially because, okay, I don't come from the most educated family, the men, they were hard workers, but the educational piece has always been missing. So to show up on campus away from your family and with a lack of, a lack of history, a lot of the stuff you learn in your Pan-African Studies departments or at your Black college and things like that were things you have never even heard of.
Never
known all of these things. So listen, because now, and since we're bringing this up, talk to me about how you feel about how people are, weaponizing CRT right now. Because as we speak, we're glorifying, in all honesty, the education that we get in college, acknowledging that none of the greatness that was shared with us was ever shared at a younger age, which could also, that leaves us in a place where we don't even know about the greatness of Black people and Black history, right? We're not talking about victimization. We're talking about victory and achievements, but none of those things were ever covered. So now that they're looking at this program, they're trying to make us feel bad about wanting Black history to be taught at a younger age. And now that you are, you got your PhD, so you've been highly educated and you were in a program that was well supported by other Black men. Talk to me about that and how you feel about how they're trying to weaponize CRT, even though I don't know any of us that are saying teach CRT at elementary and junior high school.
So it's very interesting. Well, to your point about Dr. Scott, it's funny because on the opposite end, I had the same experience with professors like Monica Turner and Dr. Karen Stanford, who really, because although a lot of my mentors were men, and I had mother figures, outside in the community where I grew up at, I didn't have anybody who, from an educational perspective. So I had a lot of hyper masculine ideology, and perspectives and things that, certain things that I would say. And so it wasn't until I really got going with Dr. Karen Stanford, she would really check me. And I'd be like, oh, I didn't know what I said was sexist, or I didn't know that was something bad. Like it was, and it was great. And we've continued to have a great relationship until this day where, she constantly pours into me and pushing me. And it was funny because I got in trouble in her class. I could tell this now, but I did a presentation with a couple of my other frat brothers on Malcolm X. And yeah, I'm gonna put it out there. I did a presentation on Malcolm X. And so in her class, I did it. And so the TA pulls up my presentation off of Wikipedia. Mind you, I copied the whole thing off of Wikipedia at that time too. This was around 2008. So I copied it off of Wikipedia and I put it in my presentation as I'm going. She's sitting there reading it and starts talking out loud. I'm looking like, oh, you must know the information too. I was like, yeah, so I'm gonna continue. She's like, no, because it's right here on Wikipedia. So she would start calling us the Wiki 4, right? And so she pulled me into her office and was like, and really got in and again, this is the PS department, really taking their students and really investing. She was like, people get kicked out of school for this kind of shit. She was like, how dare you come in here and about Malcolm X and go do some bullshit like this, and really like laid into me. And so she said, you got a week. I need a new presentation and you're going to present it in class. Actually, no, it wasn't even a week. I had 3 days. So I had to come up, had to do the work, read. And as I'm reading, I'm learning. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I cheated myself out of learning this information. And so when I gave the presentation, it came from a different perspective. Like, wow, like I really learned something. And so to that point, to even, what you're talking about in regards to critical race theory, it's really sad, but it's it's one of those things where you start to normalize and you start to become numb to certain traumas because we've seen this story, right? We know what they're trying with, and they say, and there's a saying that, to keep, if you want to hide information from Negroes, you put it in a book, right? And so more so hide their own information from them, right? We're the only race of people who don't have access to our actual history. Yeah, they talk about certain things. You empower little kids with Martin Luther King, Malcolm X,
Thurgood
Harriet Tubman.
Marshall.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like the
Yeah.
basics and stuff like that. But then there's so much more, right? There's so much that we've overcome. And so it's really sad. However, it takes us to band together to really have to push the limit. And carry that baton that so many people have died for us to continue this race for, which is why once I got my education, and in the field that I was working in, I had left the boys' home and went into mental health. And so then I was living in Inglewood and driving to the Valley, Woodland Hills, at a mental health facility. And they do great work, all mental health facilities do. But for me, it was conflicting because I'm leaving my community where there's tons of people on the street that I'm seeing that need, the mental health work. And so a lot of people who come into our community to provide services don't look like us, right? And so we don't see that. And that representation matters a lot. And so I had to leave and come back here to where continue pushing those limits, being that advocate, sitting in those seats and in those doors, and being a part of the conversation to represent for those kids who now have a chance to learn about who they are, outside of that 1 month of the year. And so I think it sucks, and that they always, but it's nothing new, right? We see this narrative, we see this within sports, we see this within anything that tries to happen for us in educating us. And so it just takes more of us to really push the limits and advocate for us to really support each other. And so now, because I come into these areas and these arenas, young kids see me and they're like, I didn't know, you don't look like the regular doctor, right? Like they see my hair, they hear the way I talk to them, and they now say like, oh, now I want to be one. Well, I could be a doctor too, right? And so it's allowing us to be a part of those conversations to push those limits. And so I think that's what's going to help change that narrative, but it's just going to be continued work. And for some people, it may get exhausting, which it does, and that's why you take your break and you take a sip of what's in your cup, and you keep on keeping on, right? Because so many other people have died just for us to get to this chance, this opportunity.
You went from a disqualified, kicked out student to a doctor. How did you decide to continue? Listen, that's what you did. No, how did you decide to continue? So you get your bachelor's, and then you just keep on to school. You couldn't stay in school, and now you can't stay out of school. Like, what's going on here?
It's crazy. And so, again, I blame the frat. I blame the frat because once they found out that I got kicked out and that I was messing up in school, then it was, again, those
all in your ass,
all in it, boy. They lived in it. Pause. And so they were just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what's going on here? And so I needed that, and I ran from it by not telling them because I knew it was going to happen. And so when I graduated, I was looking at different programs because I was working in the field, like I said, probation, and I was looking at different programs for MSW. I was looking at USC, I was looking at Northridge for social work. So then a buddy of mine, he did a training for us at work, and I was like, yo, this is really dope. Like, where'd you learn this? And he's like, oh, I'm doing it in my doctorate program. I'm like, dude, you're in a doctorate program? What the hell? I was like, I've gone to parties with you. I've seen you. Like, how are you in a doctorate program? I was like, what are you learning?
What are you learning?
And so I started to pay attention to his growth. And then I went to an informational because the biggest thing I learned, schools, it's free to go to a school for informational. They don't tell you that, right? Like you can go. I was going to numerous schools for informationals for the frat. Didn't know that they had them for educational opportunities, right? It was a whole different world for me. And so I went to this school, Phillips Graduate University. It's in the Valley. And I was listening to their MFT program, right? And I was like, oh, this sounds really dope. So then they started talking about their doctorate. And I said, hey, question. Do you need a master's? And they're like, no, you don't need a master's. And there's like there's a lot of doctorate programs where you don't need a master's. And I said, oh. They said, however, we prefer because we know you can maintain the course load, right? Because in a master's program, you need to maintain 3.0 to 3.5 GPA. So we know coming in, you can maintain that plus the demands of the curriculum. And I said, oh, okay. They said, can you demonstrate? And I said, well, a master's is 2 years. This is 3.5, but all year round, like no breaks. And I was like, so really it's like almost like 4 years. And they were like, yeah, but you just need to maintain. Can you handle the course load? I was like, sure. So I was able to utilize, because it's a doctorate in psychology, emphasis organizational management and consulting. So I utilize all my work experience at the boys' home in psychology, right? So we're doing CBT model, helping using, different avenues to helping youth get through trauma. And then I utilized my experience in the frat again, and my leadership experience, right? Being chapter president, helping put on events, program management, helping build relationships in different organizations like MEND, Midnight Mission, NAACP, and different other organizations in the Valley and in LA. And partnering with those organizations, I use that as a means of helping on my professional side, right? As to articulate why I deserve to be in this program. So I got in under conditional status because, mind you, I graduated CSUN with like a 2.1 GPA, and so for this program, you need like a 3.5. So I was able to articulate why I deserve to be there in a compelling 2-page letter. And so they were like, okay, you know what? We're going to give you a shot. And it was crazy because at the time there was a black woman who was the president of the school. And I sat down with her and she was like, okay, I'm going to give you a shot. Right. And mind you, she's an AK from UCLA, or I forgot what school, but she was like, okay, we're going to give you a shot. So I got in under conditional status, and after they said, if you can maintain a 3.5, then we'll take you off of conditional status for a year, but you have to do it within for a year. So I held down a 3.7 to 4.0 for that whole year. Right. And so I was taken off of conditional status, welcome as a full-time student, where I ended up graduating. I ended up finishing my dissertation a semester early and ended up graduating. I finished ahead of my class and ended up being the keynote speaker for our graduation in 2018. And this was 9 years. And mind you, that graduation was 9 years after being told in 2009 that school isn't for people like you, right? Counselor at CSUN told me when I got kicked out, people like you, he looked where I grew up at. He was like, maybe this isn't for you. You're going to go to school, you may go back home, get a job, maybe have kids and stuff like that. Maybe education isn't for you. To 9 years later, graduating with my doctorate. And then in 2019, I was asked to be the keynote speaker at the CSUN graduation, and then asked to sit on the board at CSUN, where I sit on the board of the University Student Union as an alumni representative. And last year I was just nominated and accepted the position of president of the Black Alumni Association at CSUN, where after, again, mind you, being told in 2009 at a university that a representative told me this isn't for people like you. And that was almost a fire that lit my ass to come back now and really turn it up a notch. So
I love it. Hey, go ahead.
You gave him a crash course on I'm gonna show you better than I can tell you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you doing now with the frat, and how do you see your role changing from undergraduate now to, I'm guessing you're in a graduate chapter?
So I am in the graduate chapter. Shout out to the Valley Brothers of Delta Psi Sigma. I am the current vice president, but I've always been in leadership roles. From undergrad, I was chapter president to now in grad chapter, I'm vice president. I've been holding down that position for the last, I want to say maybe 3 to 4 years. 3 or 4 years been vice president. Representing on our campus and doing different engagements and things like that. And for me, the work, I'm always about community engagement and involvement. I'm not real big on politics, right? Because I've seen like how nasty and brutal that can be. And I know there's some brothers that can do that. That's fine. But me, I'm more of the let's get in the community and do the work. And let's really support a lot of these community members and community-based organizations. And so because of that, I utilize my platform to, one, talk about mental health, where I've gotten involved in a lot of different organizations that deal with mental health. On top of the work I do right now for an organization called Friends of the Children, Friends LA, where a new program that was initiated was called Fostering Resiliency Program, where we provide mentorship for young Black males in foster care. And so I'm the director of that position right now. And so my biggest thing is utilizing those platforms to spread the message of one of the organizations so people can see like, oh, hey, I can go to college, I can do this, and I can still be successful, and I can come from South LA, right? I don't have to really change who I am for me to grow. And, a part of my story is not just going through life, but growing through life, right? And utilizing our experiences to help us grow to become the better versions of ourselves, right? I like to say, quote, look at a man or a woman the way that they are, they only become worse. But if you look at them as if they were what they could be, then they become what they should be, right? And so that's a lot of the messaging that came from those before me who looked at me with those eyes, right? And helped me grow to become the man that I am today. And I use that in my platforms, especially within this mentoring, with young males and in the community.
I could talk to you all day because I have there's something that's on my mind I've been wanting to ask someone that's qualified to answer. So Boyce Watkins, he is someone that does not promote college and universities for Black folks.
Who?
That's Boyce Watkins.
Okay.
Yes, he's like, we don't need that. But he's highly educated. So that's one. I want you to comment on that. And then 2 is being a member of a Black Greek organization. What's the purpose? There are people that don't understand why this is important, why it's important to us, and why we continue to be members of these organizations all through our adulthood. So talk to me about in college, and I guess I can say for me, my sorority was an extension of my family. And in some cases, it was more than some family members. So it is a family unit. It is sacred. Yeah. Like most people should actually deal with their families like it's a sacred unit. And it helps support me, not just in college, but in life. And I do think college is important, and we should never be talking about it not being important. So I don't know if you've actually studied up on him, or if you listen to him sometimes, because some of the stuff he says is amazing, but then the not going to college thing, and that has become like a common theme now. It's like, oh, you don't need to go to college, just go to trade school. And it almost sounds like what that counselor said to you, which is, you go do something else, go have some kids and just do some simple stuff. Like, talk to me about your thoughts on that.
So I think you're talking about Dr. Boyce Watkins, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy because I heard a quote that said, not all kinfolk are kinfolk, right? And so, the brother has crazy platform, and he, definitely uses his education, but a lot of times, in freedom of speech, he can think, just like a lot of other, people who are, celebrity, quote unquote. I guess he's a social media celebrity. We have to remember that, or they forget that you're responsible for, yeah, you have the freedom to say what you want, but there's a responsibility that comes with that, right? And that there are people who really take on and listen to what you have to say. And it's crazy because, you know, to preach that message of not going to school, you don't have to. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to, right? But that's what they've historically have tried to do, is keep us out of education, right? And they're trying to do it continuously with the with, like you said, with CRT, right? Keep us from our history and our information. But for me, the representation really mattered. Because to see myself in other men on campus, to be surrounded by those men, and not just in my fraternity, but I built relationships with people in other fraternities, other historical Black organizations, and these organizations were established to help be a part of the community, right? To help uplift and build the community. And so that's always what I wanted to do, and what my father bred me to be, right? As a young kid, he had us doing community services. We would go to community walks for breast cancer, or go do stuff like feeding the homeless and things like that. And so to continue to see that in other Black men on campus was big for me, and it helped mold me to be the man that I am today. Because, like I said, you want to surround yourself amongst people that you see yourself becoming. And I think that that's key for a lot of the people in our community, especially kids. That they need that, right? They need that support. They need to see that and continue furthering, because you get out of your community, you're able to see a different world. You're able to experience different things. You're able to build networks and connections, right? Because we all know it's not what you know, it's who you know a lot of times. And so you're able to build those relationships that can help you get to where you want to be, help you first define where it is that you want to go, create that vision, and then help you get there, right? Those relationships. And so for me, the fraternity was really important because, like you said, they became some became actually family members. Like I'm godparent to a couple of brothers, their kids, right? And just as I'm uncle, right, to a lot of the brothers who have kids, to their children. I've been in weddings, right? Some people have been in a lot of my brothers have been in my weddings. Been there for ups, downs. I remember when my grandmother passed away, and I just was really closed off. My chapter really showed up, right, and showed out. I looked in the crowd at her funeral; they were there, and I'm like that really was amazing to me, and just to have them throughout the growth of my life really helped me become who I am. And so even some brothers come to my family events, they check in on my dad. I have one of my line brothers, I'm not home. There was a time when I was living in the valley, he would pop up at my house and check in on my dad and make sure he was okay, right? And so it's just that building that relationship and that bond is something that I really needed for me, being a Black male growing up in LA, because we latch on to that, right? We need that growing up. We need that sense of community is very big. And so there's a part in there for within Black organizations that help you to define and create that community, that sense of community.
Man, we're gonna have you back, because we want to talk about more of the work that you're actually doing and the lives that you're touching, because it's important. I think service, community service to mankind, leaving this world better than we got it, is a conversation that we don't have as often as we need to. People get so self-indulged or focused on their pocketbooks and not paying attention to the world that we're actually living in and the impact that they could possibly have. So we definitely have to have you back. We appreciate you being here today.
It's key. Can I say one thing? And so this is why one of my core values is not just growth, but it's also service too, right? And I left the valley where I was doing really good to come back and have to restart and rebrand and rebuild just just to continue that idea of service in my community, be a voice for Black men. And, I'll end here by saying this. There's a quote: "Life is God's gift to us, and how we live our life is our gift to God." Right? And so what are you doing with that gift? And so for me, it's how am I pouring into these, to the community, right? How am I helping create a safer space, not just for my future kids, but for my, for all the brothers around me and their kids, right? And so on and so forth. And so it's just helping, because for me, when I was working at a boys' home, we would change these kids' lives, but then send them back to a community where the community was the same. And so after hearing about so many kids who have lost their life, I just found out about another young man who I was involved in his life when he was 15. He was killed at the age of 25, right, in Hawthorne. And so to hear about that, when I was going through my education, I realized, okay, I know these kids are going to change their lives in these programs. I got to go back into the community and help create change within the community, because I'm getting tired of hearing about these kids being killed. And so it's how can I create system change within the community to help create a safer space for them to continue to grow, and not just for them, but for my family as well.
Definitely appreciate you sharing that. Let the people know how they can keep up with you, how they can support you, how they can just follow your journey, because it's definitely sounds like it's a book that needs to be written. Maybe we can talk about that later.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, let them know how to keep up with you.
I'm on social media, Dr. Carroll Brown. I sit on the board of an organization called Minority Psychology Network. They're also on social media, where we do events in the community for mental health awareness and psychoeducation events. I do a lot of panel speaking events. I'm on LinkedIn, Dr. Carroll Brown. I do executive coaching for MK Circle Institute, an organization founded by a Black couple, where they're providing and helping create change agents within organizations and emotionally intelligent leaders. And so that's a beautiful thing that I love. And I utilize that within my teaching with younger students, because we don't get told about emotional intelligence, right? And so it's helping how to transcribe that and help these young kids be aware of who they are. And so I do diversion work in Culver City at an organization called New Earth. They're also on social media. And then Friends of LA, I can post a link on here as well. But I'm the director for FRP within DCFS, and we partner with DCFS creating mentorship for young Black males in foster care between the ages of 11 to 22.
Awesome.
So I do that. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm all over the place. I'm everywhere. I'm in several different boards. I'm on several different organizations I work for, all within very parallel doing the same work. So
I say it about me. I'll say it about him. Google him. Okay. He's there. He's there. So thank you so much. And be on the lookout. We're going to put all that information in the captions. So make sure you tap in with him. You follow him. He's inspiring. He's open to questions. He's very open and easy to find. So you guys, we bring you resources. You know what they say, you can take a horse to water, you can't make them drink. We're bringing y'all the water. So Absolutely. There he is.
I'm trying to help create more fishers of men.
Love it. Well, listen, you have a good day, and we will definitely talk to you soon.
Absolutely, ladies. Thank you guys again for having me. I really appreciate love the platform.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
What'd you think?
Like you said, I could talk to Carroll all day. Is there something about him? And I might have to go to some of his little meetings, his events with the men, so I can just get motivated. Because listening to him, I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like, I got another project for you, Tonya.
Why did I even ask?
For us, for us.
Mm-hmm,
but yeah,
for us. But listen, people, before we get out of here, I want to again show you guys some very cool work that Miss Gia has been up to. I usually ask her what's she up to, what's coming up, and now I just want you guys to see what she's up to and then support.
I heard a voice that told me I'm essential, how all my fears are limiting my potential. Said it's time to step into the
Go out, shop Shein, buy your stuff, add some mahogany box work in there, and you're good to go for the spring. That's all I want you to do. If you don't do it for you, gift it to somebody else, send it to your homegirl house, your little sister. I'm getting Talia some stuff. Go out and support. We have a lot of dope stuff coming up. You guys, we give you opportunities to be educated, elevate your voice, and empower other people. Stick with us. We have a lot of stuff going on, and you don't want to miss it. We enhance
That's
your
right.
life. Listen, don't
Because
fight.
we're executing a lot of stuff in 2022. Because so 2022 is the year of execute, and that's what we're doing. But check this out, y'all. Sunday, I'm gonna be at the Soulful Noise event from 2 to 6. It's a music event. It's music, vendors, libations. Come out, support. It's called Soulful Noise at the Beehive. The address is 1000 West. 1000 East 60th Street. So we, it's in the neighborhood, y'all, but it's a really nice venue. Y'all come out, music, so have a good time. Come, just enjoy the day. Hopefully Sunday will be a beautiful day. And shop with your girl. I'm gonna have some new stuff out there. I've been painting, so I'm gonna have some painted stuff out there. Some of y'all haven't seen some of my painted things, but I've gotten back in the lab a little bit and got my paintbrushes out and doing a little stuff. So, because I just enjoy creating. People ask me, I just love it. I love to create whatever I can create. And where does it come from? It just comes from in here and from what I see out there. I just get inspired by a lot of different things, and I just go with it.
Yeah. So you guys stick around. We will see you back here in a couple days. Bye.